Hello, everyone. Welcome to Steelers Live. He's Tunch Ilkin. I am not Missy Matthews. Today, we are going to go. Tunch is going to give us a scouting report on Sunday night's opponent, the Baltimore Ravens. But let's start this particular show by looking at the Steelers practice report. Some good news, Tunch. Both David DeCastro and Marcus Gilbert were full participants in practice today, and that means they were full participants in practice for the last 2 days. Also participating fully were both Ben Roethlisberger and Ramon Foster, who sat out Wednesday's session, coach's decision, or as Mike Tomlin once referred to it as a contusion of the birth certificate. Marquise Pouncey did not practice today, a second day off by Mike Tomlin's decree. Limited today were Morgan Burnett with his groin injury, Mike Hilton with the hyperextended elbow, and Juju Smith-Schuster with an abdominal muscle of some kind. Tunch, I don't have any abdominal muscles.
I don't have abs
so
either.
I have no idea what that is.
I have never pulled an ab muscle.
But
never.
In the case of both Juju and Mike Hilton, today's limited activity represents something of an improvement because neither of them practiced yesterday. So maybe they're trending in the right way, enough to see them on Sunday. We'll probably know more tomorrow based on how they react, their bodies react to this limited practice. But let's stick with an area of the football team that you know a little something about, the offensive line, getting Gilbert and DeCastro back. What will that? How does that help the Steelers in dealing with a Ravens defense that has 9 sacks so far?
Well, that's huge. Number one, because you've got Marcus Gilbert, and he's going to go against Terrell Suggs sometimes, and Zadarius Smith sometimes. Zadarius Smith has become quite the pass rusher. He's got 2 sacks. Suggs got 2.5. Suggs at 36, he's still getting after it. I mean, he is still getting after it. He's the one that brings the energy. So when you have Marcus Gilbert going against Suggs and Zadarius Smith, not that Matt Filer couldn't handle it, but that was gonna help. The other thing is Dave DeCastro. When Dave DeCastro and Marcus Gilbert play side by side on that right side, not only do they do a great job of pass blocking, but what they do a great job of coming off the ball together. You know, the Steelers in their running scheme, they run a lot of combination blocks. So you'll see Marcus Gilbert and David DeCastro come off and double the defensive lineman, and then one guy's got to come off and get to the second level to the linebacker. And they have a good feel for that. Not that Matt Filer and B.J. Finney didn't, but these guys are much better at it than the backups, although they did a great job last week.
Now, you mentioned they flip Suggs back and forth. When he is next to Brandon Williams, how does that shake out usually?
So they will run some twists, but actually when he's next to Brent Urban, Urban is the better pass rusher than Pierce or than Brandon Williams is. Brandon Williams is more of a big body. Urban is lighter, and he's the Tim Jernigan, if you will, of this defense. A lot of movement, does a nice job of getting on the edge of the offensive guard, and they can run twists because when he runs a twist with Zadarius Smith or with Terrell Suggs, he's a lot quicker at coming around and cutting a short corner. You see there, Suggs just did a great job of beating the tackle.
When they flop Suggs, is there any rhyme or reason to it? Do they do it for matchups, down and distance?
I think what they want Suggs to stay away from is the tight end. And sometimes they're looking for the matchup. Suggs at 36 is being spelled more. So sometimes you're going to see Matthew Judon. Sometimes you're going to see Tim Williams. And so, and the one thing about Terrell Suggs, Bobby, is that, he knows when to pace himself. He knows when to take a play off, but he knows when to crank it up. Mostly, I have issues with guys that don't play hard every play. But this guy knows when to turn it up, and he turns it up in crucial situations.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, Tunch will get into it a little bit more in depth in the Sirius XM scouting report, but we'll be right back after this. Okay, welcome back to Steelers Live. Now it's time for the Sirius XM scouting report. Tunch Ilkin, tell us about the Ravens.
You know, Labs, one of the things, let's start with the offensive side of the ball. There's been kind of an overhaul in this passing game. Gone is Jeremy Maclin, gone is Mike Wallace, gone is Ben Watson, and they've been replaced with some vertical guys, a possession guy. Number one, you got John Brown. They signed him as a free agent from Arizona. He is a vertical guy. This guy loves to get deep. You know, the interesting thing, though, is that Joe Flacco is not throwing the ball down the field like he used to. Remember, he was the launcher, the mad bomber, kind of like Darryl LaMonica back when we were kids. But we're seeing a lot more checkdowns. We're seeing a lot more flare passes. We're seeing a lot more quick slants. And I don't know if it's because of Marty Morningwig, who is a West Coast guy. You know, the last time we have witnessed Flacco throw the ball way down the field was when David Caldwell and before him Cam Cameron were the offensive coordinators. Since Marty Morningwig has been, there seems to be kind of a clash of systems and styles. When you look at the stats, and I'm not usually a stat guy, and you know that, but the last 3 years he's averaged less than 7 yards a completion. But I think they're going to change those things because you see another tight end screen that he loves to screen, but that's kind of a West Coast thing as well. But John Brown, he is like I said, he is the vertical guy. They signed him from Arizona. They're going to try to get the ball to him deep. Michael Crabtree is the possession guy. They signed him as a free agent from the Oakland Raiders. He is a combat catch guy. He runs great routes. He's very, very physical. He's got the strength to push off, and he's a subtle pusher-offer. In other words, he gets away with a lot of push-offs. And there you see one of the things that they like about John Brown is because you have to respect his speed, he does a great job of getting open underneath. And then Willie Snead, number 81, he is the slot guy, and he does a nice job as a possession receiver, but he can also get deep on you. They signed him from the New Orleans Saints, and they've got, it's going to be interesting to see how many more times they try to go down the field with their new receivers. They drafted two tight ends in Hurst and Baker, Andrews rather, Hurst and Andrews. Andrews has been the guy that's playing. Hurst has had the bad foot. The running game we're familiar with. Last year we saw a lot of Alex Collins. Alex Collins is a tough guy. He is very, very strong. He's very physical. He lowers his head. What he does a great job of is finding the crease, and he's got great forward lean. You watch him, and most of the time he doesn't get pushed backwards. He does a great job also on the screens, and when he gets into the open field, he's got a little bit of shift to him. The third down back is Butch Allen, and Butch Allen is built very much like Buck Allen. Buck Allen is built very much like Alex Collins. He's also a physical guy, but he is the guy coming out of the backfield and does a nice job running routes, catching the check down, catching the flare, and running the screens. And if you need him for a little power, he's got that physicality that you like. You look at the offensive line, and there's been a lot of moving. James Hurst, the starting right tackle, was the starting left guard last year. Matt Skura, the starting right guard last year, is the starting center this year. Marshall Yanda, who was on IR last year, is back in the starting plate. And Alex Lewis, the left guard, was also on IR last year, and he's starting. The only guy that's in the same spot that he was last year was Ronnie Stanley. And Stanley was one of those guys that you have great expectations for. And for a great athlete and a guy that uses his hands well, he's still very inconsistent. As a matter of fact, he can be bull rushed. Marshall Yanda, the all-world right guard, he's 35 years old, and you could see the age on him. James Hurst at right tackle, not a bad player. Alex Collins, I don't know. Alex Lewis, rather, the left guard, has been struggling. I think this is a good matchup for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, their two best pass rushers, and I talked a little bit about this in our opening segment, is Zadarius Smith and Terrell Suggs. Terrell Suggs is their best pass rusher. He's got 2.5 sacks. And, Suggs is always fired up to play the Steelers. And he gets a sack there, strips the ball. He's got, I don't know how many strips he's got in his career, but it's a boatload. He has the ability to get you with still speed at 36 or bull rush. He blows right past the left tackle of the Denver Broncos and gets that strip sack. Zadarius Smith on the other side has really developed, Bob. Last year, he was not a great pass rusher. As a matter of fact, he did a great job of beating the offensive lineman, but he never got to the quarterback. I don't know what his sack total was last year, but it didn't scare you. This year, he's improved. I don't know if he's a little bit lighter, but he's got great closing speed. And, on the back end, you're going to watch Eric Weddle. Weddle, is for a guy that's later in his career, he is a very heady player. He still makes plays. They still bring him on blitzes. He's a decent blitzer. He does a great job of his timing up the blitzes. And he also, when the ball's in the air, he's going to try to go and get it. The left corner, Marlon Humphreys, probably their best man-on-man cover guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he followed our good buddy A.B. all around. And then C.J. Mosley, who'd been dinged up. I don't know if it was his ankle or his knee, but I saw him get hurt at Denver, or 2 weeks ago, rather, not at Denver, but he didn't play last week. And I believe he's going to be ready to go come Sunday night.
Okay, so what used to be Steelers-Ravens, whatever they came in with, 13-9.
Right.
Would be the game. Now this Ravens team has over 100 points they've scored in their first 3 games. The Steelers are close to 90. You think it's going to be 13-9 Sunday night?
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, we're not going to see the physicality, the nastiness. Maybe Suggs will bring some of that. Maybe one of our guys will bring some of that. But, the way the game is, everybody is – you saw the highlights. Nobody wants to drill anybody. Because if you drill someone, chances are you're going to get a flag and you're going to get a fine. So this might be one of those. It might not. I'm not going to say it might be. It will. It's going to be a shootout. And I think that as Flacco is getting more comfortable with John Brown and with Michael Crabtree and Willie Snead, I think maybe this week they're going to open it up and try to throw the ball down the field a little bit more than they've been having to.
Okay, there you have it. Tunch Ilkin predicts a shootout, 50-49. Okay, for our SNU members, today the key. I'm going to give you the keyword, so everybody be paying attention. The SNU keyword for this week is Hall, H-A-L-L. That is valid until the end of Thursday. So go to SteelersNationUnite.com, enter the keyword. Once again, it's Hall to earn your yards for this particular week. So that's going to do it for this edition of Steelers Live. For Tunch Ilkin, I'm not Missy Matthews. We will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m.